Anytime you're working with numbers, there's going to be times where you're going to have to round answers or estimate what your answer happens to be. So to be able to do this, it's important to understand how to round and how to round to various places for a number. So let's review some common places that we use in math. So if we were to write on a number like 3,125,478 and 908 thousandths. Let's talk about places. So if we begin to go through the places, the 8 is the ones place. And when we round to ones, sometimes we say that we round to the nearest whole number. The 7 is the tens place. We don't round a lot to the tens place, but that's what it is. Sometimes we will round to hundreds, and that's where the 4 is. Another common place that we sometimes round to, especially when working with big numbers, is where the 5 is, and that is in the thousands place. Now this patterns of ones, tens, hundreds continues into thousands, 10,000s, and 100,000s. And for lack of room, I'll write 100 as the number 100. And then after that, we go ahead and begin again. Millions, 10 millions, 100 millions, and so on. Now over here to the right of the decimal, you'll notice when I said the decimal that I said the word and. The 9 is in the tenths place. So when we say 8 and 908 thousandths, that and signifies that we're moving to the decimal part of our number. So here we have tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. You'll notice that each of these numbers, or each of these places, ends in a TH. Or, in this case, a THS, plural. So when rounding and when estimating, it's important to understand the places and their location. Okay. Now, let's practice a little bit. So when we're working with numbers, let's first of all work on the whole number part of things. Let's say we have 17,894. And we want to round this to the nearest thousand. So to do so, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to underline the thousands place, which is where the 7 is, and we're going to look to the right. Now, since this 8 right here, this number right here tells us how to round. If we are 5 or up, then that 7 is going to change and move up to an 8, and everything after that will become a 0. So 17,894 would round to, and the 1 would stay. The 7 would become an 8, and everything else after that becomes a 0. So why? Well, if we're rounding 17,894, we think on a number line about the location of this number. So 17,894 is between 17,000 and 18,000. And we know that halfway is 17,500. So because 17,894 is way over here, that means we're going to choose the 18,000 as the number we're going to round to. So think of a number line but also underline the place that you're trying to round to, look to the right. If the number to the right of the place is 5 or up, we bump it up. That's how we round to the nearest thousand. Now sometimes you might have a number, let's say for example, 19,580. And on this one we want to round it to thousands as well. So I'll underline the 9 and I'll look to the right. Now because that 5 is 5 or more, that 9 has to go to the next number. Well, the next number above 9 is 10. Well, 10 doesn't really fit there. So we have to think that this is really a 19. And so the next 1,000 above 19 would be 20,000. Again, we can see that on a number line. That here's 19,000. And here is 20,000. And 19,580 is more than halfway. So we're going to choose 20,000. Now, when rounding to decimals, let's say, for example, we have 7 and 421 thousandths, and we want to round to the nearest hundredth. Okay. So first we find the hundredths place. That's where the 2 is. And we look to the right. The 2 is going to stay as a 2 because to the right of the 2 is a 1. And it's not 5 or up. So this is going to round to 7 and 42 hundredths. Notice on the above 2, the rounded answer was 18,000, 20,000, 7 and 42 hundredths. So what we're rounding to is the last word that we say when we read. Now, rounding to hundredths is very similar. In fact, it's exactly similar as rounding in money to the nearest cent. If we think about rounding to cents, the cents place is where we would find 1 penny. Well, to write 1 penny is 0.01. So rounding to the cents place is like rounding where the 2 is. So this would be $7.42. Now, we can use that theory also if we are rounding to dollars. Because rounding to dollars, let's say that we have $18.47. And if we were to round to the nearest dollar, that's like rounding to the nearest whole number. So nearest whole number or nearest 1. And we would say 1847 is closest to $18. So why is all this important? Well, we want to be able to estimate. And so my final thoughts are, what if we have something like 942 times 56? Now, I just want to know what that's close to, okay? And I want to make an estimate of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to round to the greatest place. So what that means is I'm going to take the 942 and I'm going to round it to the nearest 100. So 942 is close to 900. And then I'm going to take 56 and round it to the nearest 10. Well, 56 is close to 60. Now when I multiply this, I can multiply the 9 and the 6 and get 54. And I have 3 zeros sitting here. So that's 54,000. And this is my estimated answer. So this is why we round. We round because rounding helps us get a quick estimate of what the actual answer is close to. And rounding is an important skill to be when we're working with decimals especially, so we're not using these really, really long decimals in our work. Thanks for watching.